Hey guys, it's Mike here again with Viper Paranormal, and today we're going to be talking about long exposure ghost photographs and how to identify one using the EXIF data. Now first things first, I am not an expert in photography and I don't claim to be, but I have learned some things throughout my research and I'd like to share those things with you. Let's start off by defining the word exposure. When talking about photography, the word exposure has nothing to do with nude photographs. Exposure is actually the amount of light that is let into the image sensor, or if you're using film, onto the film. The longer the exposure, the more light you're letting in. Long exposures also capture movement. Your exposure can be determined by your shutter speed, or how long your shutter stays open. This can range anywhere from milliseconds to upwards of several hours. Long exposure photography has become very popular amongst photographers because it allows for really cool lighting effects. Let's start off by looking at some intentional long exposure photography, and then we're going to move on to some false long exposure ghost photographs, and after that I'm going to show you how to identify these false anomalies using your EXIF data or exchangeable image file data. Okay guys, this is our first intentional long exposure. This was a 2-hour exposure, meaning the shutter was open for 2 hours. That's how we got all these really cool lighting effects. The second one was intentional as well, and if you notice, you're going to see all these vibrant blue light streaks moving around. That's because of the long exposure. The next few we're going to look at were taken from paranormal websites. If you see the streak going up to the top there and how it's a little brighter in the middle, and the same thing on the next one, what actually happened was at some point when they were taking the photo there was some sort of a light source there, and as they took the picture they probably moved the camera, and in turn we're left with neat little light streaks like this that are often mistaken as paranormal photographs. The next one is actually one of our photographs, and we're going to analyze this here in a little bit. You see how the image looks really blurred. That's because we're actually looking at over a half-second exposure. Now the final one, probably the most impressive, is the holy grail of paranormal evidence, as some people call it. And this is just another long exposure. You can see it looks like a human figure there, and what happened was at some point while they were taking this picture there was someone standing in front of the photograph, and the shutter was left open too long, and at another point they moved out of the photograph when the photograph was actually captured, and it left almost a transparent apparition. Okay guys, now I'm going to show you how to check your EXIF data to see if you have captured a long exposure photograph. Now a lot of the photographs on the internet you will not have this option because when they're uploaded the EXIF data is not uploaded with it. But what you need to do is go to your photographs, find the one that you want to check the information on, and right click on it. We're going to scroll down here to properties and we're going to click on that. Now it's going to open this little box up, and you're going to want to go over to where you say details. You're going to click details and you're going to start scrolling down, and this is going to have all of your information here. It's going to have the image size, things like that. It's also going to have the camera that the photograph was taken on, the make and the model. And if you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see exposure time. And as you can see here, this is 1/8 of a second. This is what this particular camera was set to shoot at, was 1/8 of a second. Okay, we're going to click OK. Now we're going to find a photograph in question, which is going to be a photograph from the exact same camera. We're going to right click on it just like we did before. Go to properties. Up here to details, we're going to click on details, and again we're going to scroll down here to the exposure time, and if you notice it's 6/10 of a second, which is actually over 1/2 second. Now the first photograph that we looked at was 1/8 of a second. This is actually a little over 1/2 of a second, so it's very clear that what we have actually captured in this photograph is a long exposure. Well, there you have it. Long exposure ghost photographs and how to identify them. I want to thank you for watching our videos. Don't forget to check out our website, www.viperparanormal.com. Please comment, rate, and don't forget to subscribe.